I'm going to work on the principle here that if it was any one of the people that I know or who's friends with me on Facebook who was overseas and had a positive COVID attack and come down with it, and then subsequently a positive COVID PCR test and I actually stopped myself from getting on the plane. I was already checked in. I had my pass sanitaire. I could have got on the plane. But the fact is, after I got checked in, it must have been coming through on this MS and Gmail to me. The results must have been coming through as I was actually going through the process of getting checked in. And when I got into the airport lounge and sat down and had to kill half an hour until boarding, I checked it and there was a positive test, and it didn't seem like the right thing to do to get on the aeroplane when there was a positive test. So, but I do think it was a close run thing. Now, I've got this testing kit, which I got yesterday, and I tested myself this morning with one test. And this is the sanitary container for waste products. And you can just see through there how that actually has come back as a negative. Now that's consistent with me believing that my first symptoms of COVID were on the 1st of January, when I sort of mistook them for a hangover to start with. And it got worse. And I isolated myself in the B&B where I was for a couple of days until the worst of the symptoms are over. Well, what am I supposed to do? Anyway, I'm happy now I've got my first negative test back, which is only, what's the day today? Wednesday, the 13th, which is only 12 days after I came down with the symptoms. But this is completely consistent with everything one reads about the Omicron coming fast into you and fast out of you. I'm a little bit reluctant to believe this test this morning because I don't want to book flights and then find out that the more accurate PCR test shows that I've still not shed the virus completely. And these tests now are in the news today across Europe as being withdrawn as showing actually false positives rather than false negatives. So they're not hugely reliable. These are the ones the South Australian government just introduced. Anyway, I thought you might be interested in me doing another test. So we've got to sort this out, and we get one out of each. And here we go. So we get one of these. This has got a little bit of juice in the bottom. And the box comes with a hole that you can stick that in, and then you got this test kit, which I won't open till the last moment. What else we got? We got this little pack of lids for that test kit, and you use that to open up. It's got a silver seal which I'm using to open that up with, and that's going to be ready to take the nose swab. Then we've got a nose swab, and I think everybody knows how these work who's had one, but this is shorter than the one they stick for the PCR test, and you've got to still force yourself to get a reasonable. This is the least fun part actually, because I'll stick it up there and you putting it up there as far as I dare. I did speak to a nurse at the Gawler Hutchinson Hospital who said it really doesn't have to go down and feel like it's coming out the back of your head. You've got to just get up there in the membranes where the virus might be. And I don't know why the left nostril and the right nostril might be different, but they show you doing in the instructions, you've got to do both nose sides. So I did that one test this morning and it was negative. I got 5 tests altogether and I really can hardly believe it, it's negative. If this comes back negative, I shall probably start booking flights tomorrow. And so that's done. And now we take the little cap off. Stick this into that thingy, into the juice there. Give it a bit of a swish around and push it up against the sides. Obviously, the idea is you get any virus that's on there, you've got to try and get it off. So you do that, let it all have a good old mix in, and then you're supposed to let that sit and wait for a minute. So I am going to let them sit that wait for a minute, and I shall probably cut this bit out. So I want to see my fridge. This first hotel I've been in with is no fridge. So it's quite cold outside. So all right, well that's been a good minute. And now what we do is we've got to give a final chance to get as much of the virus off that swab as we can. And it says squeeze it against the sides and also squeeze a little tube around it. So you squeeze it out. And then that goes into the hygiene get rid of thingy. Just put that tube in there while I do that. And then the top that we used to pierce through the sort of alfoil top goes back in and squeezes right down and seals. And then you give it a shake. Make sure it's all mixed up. Let that mix. And then you get out the testy thing. This is the real fun part. I'm going to put 4 drops onto this testy thing right now. It's completely blank. And the drops go in here. It's a bit like, I don't know, I was going to say a bit like checking yourself for being pregnant. I've actually never done that. But it's sort of how one imagines it works when you pee on the stick, girls. So we'll see how we go. I'm going to just focus that a bit more down on here. Where are we? Right, so now I'll get my glasses. The magic will occur. This top, you can take off the top and leave the bit behind. There, like that. Oh, like that. Top just came off like that. And that's now going to go upside down and be the dripper, so you can control the drips. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cap back on. And this is a fun bit. Just watch how it starts to flow. No line near the T, which would indicate a positive. So there's a line down near the C again, which indicates a negative, because if there's no line, it just means the test hasn't worked. Focusing. Yes, there's a line there. It's hard to see on the screen, but there's a line there. And so I'll just get the instructions out. It's actually quite a distinct line when you see it in real life. And then the pictures on the instructions show you how to interpret it. And can see. Oh. Negativo. So that's really quite good, because that's 2 tests, even though they're unreliable, they've both given the same result now. So I'm feeling quite good about that, being able to. I'm going to give it another test tomorrow, and then I can start booking tickets. But I'm not sure whether I'm going to start booking tickets to come home to Australia, or whether to head on to the UK, Jersey, Channel Islands, try to redo that aborted trip, and get up into Wales. Because now I'm both double vaxxed, and I've had a positive COVID test, which showed I had real symptoms, and then I'll be negative. So I'll be better than Djocovic.